We're being classy. Okay. It's story time with Mr. Steve. We're gonna have a lot of fun. We're gonna read books. I don't know how to play this. We're gonna have a lot of fun. It's story time. Theme song. Hello, everybody. My name is Mr. Steve, and who's this over here? That's right, a unicorn. We're gonna be having a little story time today. You like story time, don't you, Eleanor?
Story puppet.
Elicorn.
Story puppet.
We're not going to the ball pit, okay? We're doing a story time here at home. You must be referring to LoveWorks Leadership, the nonprofit in Oklahoma that I do story times for. You can learn more about them at loveworksleadership.org. The link should be appearing right here on the bottom somewhere. What? Now the link is up here. It's so huge. Oh. I make things harder for myself when I do this. Now the link is right here in red. Now it's blue. Now it's back to red. Wait, now it's down here. Now it's on Eleanor's face. No. Today we're going to be doing something special because we're not going to be reading a typical picture book or anything like that. We're going to be reading selections from this kid's book. It's called The Cat on the Mat is Flat. Eleanor, can you not be showing off your butt during story time? Okay. So stay sitting down. Stop it. It starts out very simple, but it's a very silly book of stories. Don't spank yourself during story time. You're so silly today. She's a silly goose. Wow, just look at my hair. You know what? Storytime is canceled. Let's just talk about my hair for the rest of the... Just stop spanking yourself. You're making this into a very weird story time. Look at my hair. I did a story time for a school in Norman last week. And one of the kids asked me why I had long hair. And I said, because one day I woke up and realized that I'm an adult and I can just do this. We're going to start with this story. The cat, the mat, the rat, and the baseball bat. Ah! You hit me with a baseball bat. Stop it. The cat sat. Very simple story. The cat sat on the mat. That's a cat. What noise do cats make?
Meow.
No, cats make this noise. Kikiri-coo! 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 Flomp, flomp, flomp! Pikachu! Pika, pika! And that's the noise that cats make. It's called science. The cat sat on the mat, and as it sat, it saw a rat. So the cat jumped up and chased the rat. Chasing him around and around and around the mat. Just around and around and around, chasing him 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 around. The rat did not like being chased by the cat. And after 3 laps around the mat, the rat said, "That's enough of that!" And so the rat went and got a baseball bat! A baseball bat?
No, it's
So the rat chased the cat with the baseball bat. The rat chased the cat with the baseball bat. Around and around and around the mat. The rat chased the cat with the baseball bat until... What do you think happened? What do you think happened? Let me tell you what happened. Kersplat! That's what happened. Never again did the cat chase the rat. The cat was much too flat for that. And that's the end of that first story. Yay! Oh, Eleanor's going to read to us. Okay, you read the next story, Eleanor. Oh, good job. Yay. Now Daddy's going to read the next story, okay? We're going to read another story from The Cat on the Mat is Flat, written by Andy Griffiths. Andy Griffiths? I'm not good at whistling. We're going to read another story from this book. It's called Ed and Ted's Dog Fred. I think these stories are getting harder and harder to read, Eleanor.
Yeah.
There was a man whose name was Ed. I'm going to get that tattooed on my face. That picture right there. Ed lived in a shed with his friend Ted. So Ed and Ted are living in a shed. So Ted had a dog whose name was Fred. Ed liked Ted and Ted liked Ed. And Fred liked Ted, but he didn't like Ed. So let's be clear. Fred the dog doesn't like Ed. Okay, you following me? I don't think they're following me.
Yeah.
One morning, Fred jumped on Ed's bed. Ed said, "Fred, get off of my bed." But Fred just growled and bit Ed's head. Look at that, he bit him on the head. Can you believe that? Such violence. Can't believe it. Ed saw red. That means he's like angry or upset. Ed saw red, and then he said, "I'm fed up with Fred always biting my head. I'm leaving this shed."
Ow.
And he went to his car, which was red. You like the color red? Me too. He jumped in, and away he sped. Ted said, "Ed, come back to the shed." But Ed just shook his head and fled, so Ted jumped in his car, which was also red. So, 2 red cars. But his car wouldn't start. The battery was dead. Ted stamped his feet. Stamped his feet. Can you stamp your feet?
Oh,
Stamp your feet. You stamp your feet at home, too. Stamp your feet. Or if you're on the subway, stamp your feet. Stamp, stamp, stamp. You can't reach the floor, can you? It's a bit difficult for you to stamp your feet. Yeah, just wiggle your feet. You could just do that. Just wiggle your feet. Or just wiggle your pinky. Pinkies up. Because this is a classy story. So let's keep our pinkies up. We're being classy.
stop my feet.
Ted stamped his feet and his face went red. "Bother, bother, bother," he said. "I'll have to take the sled instead." So Ted hitched up Fred to the front of the sled, which, by the way, was also red. And away from the shed sped Fred and Ted.
Stop your feet. Stop.
You really like the stomp your feet part.
Stop.
Stomp your feet, stomp your feet, stomp your feet. And all you kids at home, wiggle your long hair.
Oh, what?
You know,
Oh, what?
all of you kids have long hair, right? I'm trying to relate to these children. Here, kids, here's something fun you can do while I read this story. All of you, wiggle your mustaches.
I can't.
Why can't you wiggle your mustache?
Okay.
Why can't you kids at home? Kids, wiggle your mustaches. Oh, you kids don't have mustaches. Okay, kids, grow a mustache. I'm waiting. So Ted and Fred sped after Ed. Ed saw Ted's red car up ahead. "Faster, faster, Fred," said Ted.
Your feet.
So
Stop your feet.
Ted and Fred were gaining on Ed, but all of a sudden Ed stopped dead. There was a roadblock and a sign that said, "Stop, do not drive. Big cliff ahead." Ted said, "Fred, stop the shed." But Fred could not, so on they sped. So Ted and Fred smashed into Ed. Over the cliff, Ed plummeted. You see what I did there? Closely followed by Ted and Fred. They hit the water and sank like lead. Poor Ed and Ted's dog Fred, they were drowning and almost dead when they were swallowed by a whale named Ned. Bother, said Ed. Bother, said Ted. Woof, 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 said Ted's dog Fred. No, it's not your time yet. Mwah. That's something that fancy people do when they meet each other. Here, give me your hand. Then I go like this. Enchanté. Mwah. That's the fancy way to do it. Now you do it to me. Bother, said Ed. Bother, said Ted. Woof, 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 said Ted's dog Fred as they bobbed around in the belly of Ned, who is a whale. That's him right there. He's got googly eyes. Ed and Ted's dog Fred were certain they were surely dead. But the whale called Ned, who was overfed, blew Ed and Ted's dog Fred out of the hole in the top of his head. That's called a spout. Up, up, up flew Ed and Ted. Up, up, up flew Ted's dog Fred. And then down, down, down they all did head. Oh no, said Ted with deathly dread. We'll hit the ground. We'll end up dead. Fear not, said Ed to his friend Ted, stretching a handkerchief over his head. That's his handkerchief right there. You see that? Hang on to me, Ted. Hang on to Ted, Fred. And down to the ground they parachuted. A wink noise. Thank you, Ed, said Ted. Thanks to you, we are not dead. Woof, 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 said Ted's dog Fred as he jumped up and licked Ed's head. Yeah. So Ed hugged Ted, and Ted hugged Fred, and Fred hugged Ed, and Fred hugged Ted, and Ed hugged Ted, and Ted hugged Ed.
I'm back.
Oh, you're back? Okay, thanks. And they all lived happily ever after in their shed. And that's the end of that story. Did you like that? Oh, it's Eleanor's turn. Okay, it's Eleanor's turn.
I was doing.
Okay.
So they stay safe and go. It was the dark soak and they'll eat. That's one soak. They won.
I hope you all enjoyed this book, The Cat on the Mat is Flat. There's actually a bunch more stories in here, so maybe we can read this again if you guys want to. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. I love this book myself. I want to thank Eleanor. I want to thank Eleanor, my helper, for helping me sort it. And I want to thank my patrons at Patreon for picking out this story. Thank you for that. I think they didn't pick it out as much as finally give in. Because if you donate any amount to my Patreon, the link is right here. And now the link is right here. And now the link is all shoved up to this side. And now the link is all shoved up over here. Okay. Then I give them a choice every month of 4 books of which ones I should read at story time. And I'm always putting this on there all the time. And I'm always like, hey, what about this book? Hey, this month? Maybe this? Hey, this month? Maybe we can read this. So finally they just gave up. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you next time. Bye. Say goodbye. Say bye, everybody.
Bye, bye.
Okay, blow them a kiss. Close enough. So Ted hitched up Fred to the front of the shed, So Fred hitched up... So Ted hitched up Fred to the front of the shed... I'm having a hard time. Here. So Ted... It's a tongue twister.